Good morning, everybody. The grim tales. I'm on my way to work. I don't know if you can pick that up or not, but there's somebody revving an engine about 1,000 miles away. Now, I'm gonna take a slightly different approach here because I have been watching a lot of the other YouTubers who have covered Andy Ditch and who have been going over all the videos he's made and all the content he's produced. And, well, Andy has been responding to a lot of my videos with comments of his own, and for a little while I thought of trying to get a dialogue going with him, but I feel like it would just become a one-sided affair. And the thing is, I don't have a personal stake in the matter. I mean, lol cows aren't even my thing, really. But I have been getting a lot of responses to these videos, and so I thought I would at least make one last video about Andrew Ditch, because he did leave this comment on one of my videos. It doesn't show up in the main page for some reason, but I screenshotted it. And Andy, this is my response to you. Yes, I have reached out to therapists many times over the years, and the hard truth is this: therapy costs money. Therapists aren't always... It costs money and time to find a therapist who specializes in autism, and then you have to find a therapist that actually wants to work with you. Sometimes that therapist can't accept your insurance. Like, therapists they usually have to work through a third party, and that third party determines what insurance that therapist can take. And if you can't get your therapy covered with insurance, you have to pay out of pocket. And when it comes to therapists that specialize in things like autism and ADHD, those ones tend to be a little bit more expensive because of how narrow their field is. I mean, you're not likely to find 10 experts on autism in the same region. And so the hard reality is, even if I were to find a therapist who took my insurance and was trained in how to deal with people who have autism, I'm not necessarily going to have the time to see that person long enough to make any kind of difference. And the hard truth is that therapy is kind of a joke to begin with, because therapists can really only have patients that can afford to pay them in the long term. That's why 9 times out of 10, if you hear somebody talking about how often they go to therapy, they're people that have a pretty good cash flow, or they have the most epic insurance ever. And the thing is I'm not on disability. Nobody's paying my therapy bills. And more often than not, when I do see a therapist, the handful of times I have seen a therapist, they try to push the medication angle. And then I go to the psychiatrist, but the psychiatrist says medication's not going to help you. You need one-on-one therapy. And as I said before, therapists don't really want to, okay, look, there's probably a few therapists out there that really want to make a difference, but unfortunately, making a difference doesn't pay the bills. And I don't have the kind of money I would need to keep a therapist in the long term. And so, unfortunately, all of my life, I have had to basically take care of myself. You know, I have a big emotional breakdown. There was actually a point in time where I had 3 years where I was unemployed. 3 years where I could not find or hold down a job because I was just absolutely broken down. I hit a brick wall. And I lived with a emotionally and psychologically abusive person who basically told me all the things he would fix about me. And it wasn't just emotional abuse. This guy once he wanted to cut my hair, and I said no. And he literally came at me with a pair of scissors. I don't know if I can describe that any better. He tried to cut my hair against my will. And at that point I should have left, but I was convinced that I needed him to survive. And it wasn't until I stood up to him one last time that he decided that the relationship was over, because he decided that my not taking his bullying was too much. He was done with me not allowing him to bully me or abuse me. Now, that was real abuse. This was a guy who literally destroyed my self-esteem every chance he could get, and he kept me around basically to serve as his pet. That's real abuse. That is emotional abuse, Andy. So it's just when I hear you shouting, "You're abusing me" at your father, that's another way that insults me. Not only is it an insult to me as an autistic person, but it's an insult to me as somebody who has survived abuse. And I'm sure it's an insult to a lot of people who have been abused and couldn't get any help because they reach out and they're just, I don't know. I'm not going to keep dwelling on that, but you get my point. The truth is you really haven't been abused. I mean, look, maybe you have been. Maybe some people have been emotionally abusive to you. I mean, abuse is not always a black and white thing. So who am I to say you have never been abused? It's just that none of the videos you have posted, none of the content you have posted where you've tried to catch somebody in the abuse, none of that has proven that you were abused. It proved that you were the abuser. And I don't know if you have the ability to see that. I don't know if the car crash damaged your brain. I don't know enough about the brain to know what part of the brain governs what action and governs what behavior. And it's possible that the part of your brain that recognizes when you're doing something to somebody else, it's possible that part has been damaged. And God knows, we're still in the infancy of understanding how the brain works. And just like me, you probably don't have the kind of insurance necessary to get that kind of neurological makeup done. Who knows? But all right, Andy, so here's something I'm gonna throw out there, because this is another thing you say a lot in your videos. You say you can't work. A lot of the times in your videos you say, "I can't do this, I can't do that." And as somebody who has been there, I certainly went through that period of "I can't do this, I can't do this." But it wasn't until I pushed myself, because nobody else is going to come along and save you. Nobody else is going to come along and say, "Yes, you can do this. Here, do this." The truth is I bet there are a lot of things you can do, but you're weaponizing false incompetence. Look, do you have some limitations? Certainly. Do you have difficulty functioning in society? Absolutely. Nobody disagrees with that. But the truth is you do get disability. So you do have a leg up. So you get disability. Now, as long as this is going to last, you still have the ability to work at least 20 hours. People on disability can still hold down a job, but all right. So let's just say working in the average workplace is not an option for you. Look at your YouTube channel. You have over 1,000 subscribers. You have over 1,000 subscribers. You should be able to monetize your channel by now. That means you should be able to use your channel to make some money. I don't know how it works yet because I'm not at 1,000 subscribers. I know you have to have 1,000 subscribers and you have to have so many views. And I've looked at your channel and you must have enough views. You must have enough viewing hours to at least consider monetization. Heck, you could probably post a Venmo or Cash App link on your main Facebook page, and you could probably actually get some money from well-meaning people. I don't like encouraging people to do this, but you at least have a source of income. But all right, let's look at your other skills. Okay, you did have a computer business for a while. You have the LinkedIn page. The LinkedIn page is there. LinkedIn doesn't lie. That's your page. So you did at one point have a computer-based business going. And yes, at first it was just your friends and your family, but I don't see the problem with that. That's how a lot of businesses start. In the beginning, it's a lot of, cold calling and, getting one or two customers that rely on your product. Now, I don't know if the car crash affected that or not, but it's a legitimate source of income. And you once said in a video, "But all I can do is repeat things." That's not a bad thing. You know what? I used to work at Kmart, and you know what I did at Kmart? I worked in the electronics department, and I sold service plans, and I sold credit card applications, and I sold products, and I was good at selling them. And you know what I did? I didn't know anything about half the stuff I was selling. All I did was I knew a few facts. You can read the package, and you can come up with a really good sales pitch. Maybe do a little research online on the product, or if it's a product you've used and you're passionate about, you can sell whale steaks to Greenpeace. And that's all it is repeating something. It's a spiel. You make up a speech and you repeat it, and people buy it. That's all salesmanship is. You don't have to know anything about the product you're selling. You just have to convince people that it's a good idea to buy it. And that's all that is. And you clearly have the makings of a good salesperson. I feel like you'd be a great salesperson. I feel like you could sell water to a drowning man. Okay? I mean, you've proven that. I'm not just making that up. Based on what I've seen, you have some real skills that you could put to use if you worked at it. And I know that is easier said than done. I know it is hard to change your way of thinking and to try to approach something from an I can do it attitude. I know how hard that is, but I also know that it's not impossible. And I genuinely wish you could find that in yourself. I really do. You know, yeah, people are going to make fun of you. People are going to use what you say against you. That's the price you pay for putting stuff online. People make fun of me all the time. People make horrible accusations about me too. Frick, I posted a video of me and my cousin's dog, and you should see the comments people made about that. It's a disgusting comment, but you know what you do is you just ignore it. You turn that shit off, you keep going. I mean, all right, I can't defend all of the things you have said. You have said some stuff that is absolutely indefensible. You really should take some of that back, and you really should take some of that down. I mean, I saw your video where you were threatening somebody at the Social Security office. I don't know if you know how lucky you are that you are still free and walking out right now, because there are people right now currently facing long-term prison sentences for saying far less than what you said. So I'm not in any way justifying or diminishing the things you have said that you should get in way more trouble for than you have, but I am trying to build a little bit on the positivity. Like one or two positive things. I'm basically challenging you. I'm saying be a better person. Try to build on the good things you clearly can post online. You're clearly capable of posting videos. Why can't you turn that into a revenue stream? You might make pocket change, but you'd still be making something, and you wouldn't lose your disability. And then you know, there's all these survey websites now that pay you for doing surveys. You can also download the Fetch app. There's all these apps that let you take pictures of receipts, and you can turn that into gift cards and stuff like that. And, you know, you'd have a little bit more spending money, and you wouldn't have to rely on other people. These are all good things you could do. And, you know, these are all things that anyone can do. I have no idea what the world is going to be like over the next 4 years. I just know that in all likelihood, the deck is going to be horribly stacked against you. And if I were you, I would take a more proactive stance in improving your own situation. Ignore all the bullies, ignore them. Stop giving them power. Every time you respond to them, you give them power. So, you know, cut them out of your life. Ignore them, move on from them. Focus on things that you're passionate about, and everything else will fall into place. And Andy, this is the last video I'm going to make about you. I really do wish you the best. I mean, we're coming up onto probably we're probably coming up into a very harrowing year. I've had to make a lot of adjustments in my own life just to prepare for the upcoming storm that is going to hit us. And I don't mean the storm that's going to come from the sky, you know, and the snow and all that. I'm trying to prepare for a world that I might not even be allowed to live in, just because of, you know, I'm married to my husband. You know, I'm a married gay man, and the whole world is kind of stacked against me on that. And so, I don't know. But Andy, just pull yourself out of this, man, because nobody else is going to pull you out of it. That's all I can say. Best of luck to you, and have a great day. Be safe. Treat each other with dignity and respect.